5:36 p.m., October 22nd, 2018. Can we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to remain standing for the invocation?
Yes. Can we all please remain standing for the invocation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let's pray. Almighty God, we're very grateful that today, on this day that you've made, that we have this privilege to gather together to celebrate life together, partnership in the community, where we get to discuss a whole variety of things and celebrate the fact that we get to do it together. Thank you for it. Thank you for your grace in all things. I do pray for the council that you give them wisdom, allow them to be gracious, and as they consider, give them wisdom in how they engage with the community. And we pray for the community as well, that they'll speak with humility and grace, and that it'll be a time for everyone together to realize that it's better together. And we love you for it, and we thank you in your name. Amen.
Amen.
It's all good. I'm gonna drop this chair.
Paulette, right? Yeah. You?
Drop this chair.
Are you reading the...
Approval of the agenda.
I asked for approval? Okay. I'd like to ask for approval of the agenda.
Someone's gonna make a motion to approve.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I second.
You don't have to push it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Seeing as there's an unopposed, the agenda will now proceed.
This evening, Mayor and Council, we have a presentation from Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. If I would have the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office come up, Deputy Ports.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
Attorney, Clerk of the Court. I'm Deputy Ports with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, if the uniform didn't give it away. Tonight I'm going to talk to you a little bit about crime statistics. I promise I will try not to bore you. We'll also talk about juvenile crimes, and we'll also go into traffic citations and distraction driving. The statistics you're getting are from January. I apologize, I got to bend down. The statistics are from January 1st through October 1st. Calls for service, 67,505. That's what we respond to here just in the Village of Wellington so far as of October 1st. And that's going to be anywhere from 911 hang-ups to domestics to suspicious people to road rage incidents, anything and everything under the sun you can think of, we will respond to. Case numbers pulled. You see just about 5,400. That's for anything from, we could take an informational report to burglary reports, stolen vehicle, you name it, theft, fraud, and one of my later slides, you'll see the different type of calls for service. And believe it or not, calls for service, number of case numbers and crimes here in Wellington, we are not no crime, but we are low crime, and that is one of the lowest amount of statistics here in Palm Beach County. All right. I'm not going to go into full detail as far as everything that's in there, but type of arrests, number of arrests. We have shoplifting, felonies, which are more of the serious crimes. Felony can also be shoplifting, anything over 300. Burglaries would be considered felonies. A fight with any kind of weapon would be considered a felony. So that just kind of breaks it down between the different types of calls for service. Trespassing, missing persons would be another call for service. And it kind of breaks it down as far as cases. Drunk driving, we had 60 calls for service. Some of those were with arrests. You see, we have drug cases, domestic violence. We responded to 3 different alarm calls and ended up arresting somebody. So that could have been from a burglary, loitering and prowling, to just trespassing. All right, juvenile crime rate. Who in here is under 18 years of age? You would classify as a juvenile. I'm not going to get any further than that by asking who's part of our JAM program. You can keep that to yourselves. But our JAM program is our juvenile arrest and monitoring system here that we have in the village of Wellington. And on average, we do about 20 probation visits. And so far, year to date, we have made 217 arrests of your peers. And that is anywhere from shoplifting to trespassing, some domestic violence calls. Anything that an adult can be arrested for, a juvenile can be arrested for as well. I'll give you a little bit of insider information on, let's say that you get into an argument with your parents and you say, I'm going to have the police call and have you arrested. Let's say they discipline you a little bit with corporal punishment. They can do that. You strike back, you get arrested. So, little insider information. We do have, sometimes that does happen. You know, just a little food for thought. You do have rights, but remember, you guys are still juveniles. But I'll let you in on another little secret. If you do get in trouble, it's not the end of the world. You still have time to change things around. All right. I want to paint a picture here. I'm going to turn my back a little bit for a second. Who in here has cell phones? Probably every single one of you. All right, so we're going to do a little experiment here. I want everybody to close their eyes right now. All right, I'm painting a picture. You guys are doing 55 miles an hour. You're trying to get from, let's say, Palm Beach Central High School to the mall at Wellington Green. All right, let's make it a sunny day out. Not too bad of traffic. Now I want you guys to count to 5. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go ahead and open your eyes. When you are driving distracted, that is basically what you are doing. Your eyes are off the road for approximately 5 seconds. You think a lot of damage can be done in those 5 seconds not paying attention? When we have those devices in our hand, we don't always realize that's what we're doing. So I'm just trying to give you a, paint you a picture that that's really what you are doing. Anything can go sour during that time frame. You can blow a tire. You cannot pay attention to a stop sign or a red light. Anywhere from minor damage to serious death and injury. On average, I'm not trying to scare you guys, I just want a little food for thought. Realize what's going on. On average, 11 people die a day from distraction driving. How many do you think we have in here? How many students do we have in here? 168? All right. Who else is a math major? Let's do 11 times 7. That's 77. So approximately just under a half of you have passed away. That's quite a bit. Imagine going to all those funerals. That's quite a bit. So next time you guys get a text message, do you really think it's that important? Probably not. I would wait. Just a fun slide, I like to call it, driving while intoxicated. You guys aren't old enough to drink yet, and none of you have done so. I'm pretty sure of that. But when somebody drives impaired, it's compared to basically driving while you're distracted. And distracted is not just texting and driving. It could be messing with the radio. It could be reaching in the back because you want to grab something. It could be eating. You know, going into that Chick-fil-A bag, trying to grab something out of there, unwrap it. All those things are distraction driving, and those are all things that aren't very important. So just remember, when you are behind the wheel, your main priority is what's in front of you and paying attention to what's around you. The phone doesn't matter. Food doesn't matter. Grooming yourself doesn't matter. So just remember that. All right. I'm not going to ask any questions here, but these are our traffic citations. Some months are a little bit higher. So the blue area are actual traffic citations. So in January, 429. February was a slower month. March, 318. The tan right above that, those are our written warnings. What's larger, the blue or the tan? So we're out there for education. We do a lot more verbal warnings and written warnings because we want people to arrive places safely. So I'm just showing you a comparison that just because you're getting pulled over, our main function is not to write tickets. It's compliance and education. You know, we have sons, daughters, some of us are married. You guys eventually will get there as well. So we want you guys to arrive where you're going safely. And the best way we know how to do that is education. And sometimes certain people don't get that point. And when we've given them education before, sometimes it takes a monetary reason for them to change their habits. Just another food for thought informational slide. That's going to be the latest technology installed in all the cars. What do you guys think? You think that might hurt? I think so. Worst case scenario. This is what happens when you text and drive. All right, now that I dampened your night, and you know what? It can only get better from here because on next will probably be Palm Beach County Fire Rescue, which most people like them better. So do we have any questions or concerns from our council here?
Are there any questions from the council?
I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so I know that you guys did training at Central over the summer.
Yes.
For active shooters.
Correct.
I wanted to know, how prepared do you feel, how prepared do you think your team is to handle an active shooter at the Wellington schools?
Extremely confident. Training is just not physical, it's also mental. And most of us that are in this job, I'm coming into my 17th year, we also prepare mentally. We're constantly going over situations. Every time I enter a room, I'm paying attention to where my exits are, cover. We do regular training for that. The past couple of years, we've been doing more and more with the schools. You know, so we're confident in our abilities. We're there to protect you guys and the threat. And you guys are all adults, and the reality is sometimes lives are lost. And we never want to see that, but just know that you guys can have the confidence in Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. We do on a regular basis. We train both physically and mentally to make sure that you guys go home safe.
Thank you.
I have a question about the traffic that occurs outside of Palm Beach Central. Has there been any thought into controlling the behavior of the people that are driving at that time?
The culture has to change and the behavior has to come from within. Each year we go out there and we monitor the traffic situation and we write citations, we give warnings. You guys are a little bit unique because you're on a main thoroughfare. So we do deal with the parents that don't want to wait in the line, parking on Lyons Road, trying to educate them that that's dangerous. We try to educate those that are trying to make that left turn into the school, that it does block incoming traffic. We can do all the education in the world, but it comes from within, and the behavior has to start changing from the parents and the students that are entering the school. There's thousands of you, and there's only a few of us.
Thank you.
I also have another question, kind of piggybacking off of what he said. Was there ever any thought to maybe make the school, like at a school zone, to like stop the very like fast traffic? Because I know there are cars that are going like 65 miles an hour down the road, and there are children walking after school and before school. That is something that would probably be decided on the county level, since it's a state road from Forest Hill. But that's definitely something I can look into and follow up, and I'll get with your teacher as far as what we might be able to do to assist with the traffic going slower.
Are there any questions?
No.
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. I'm pretty sure all of us learned a lot about safe driving. Is there any comment from the public?
I've bored you guys enough. You want me out of here? Okay.
Thank you.
Council, our next presentation will be from the Palm Beach Fire Rescue Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and our citizens of the Village of Wellington. So, it's good to be with you this evening. Hopefully you can all hear me okay. So, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. I'm going to bring you some of the statistics that happened from this past fiscal year, ending on September 30th, 2018. Any idea how many calls Palm Beach County Fire Rescue ran in the Village of Wellington last year? 24,000. Not quite. Not that many. 153. More than that. 16,000. You know, I like you because you are on our side. Actually, last year in the Village of Wellington, we ran 5,253 calls. Of those, how many do you think were medical calls? 628.
4,000.
Actually, about 3,800 of them were actually medical calls. So we are actually a rescue fire department. So that means of those, our #1 call in the Village of Wellington was what? Was what? It was medical, but what type of medical? It was not heart attack, and we're grateful for that. But it was, you've seen it on I've fallen and I can't get up. Yep. So, slips and falls were our #1 call. And that is not just seniors, but that is kids, adults, everybody, because how many of you have slipped and fallen? And sometimes it's people doing things that are not quite the smartest thing that they've ever done. So, I've fallen and I can't get up. #1 call. We also have large number of, as Scott was mentioning, distracted driving. So we have a lot of motor vehicle crashes. They tend to be the second leading cause of calls in the Village of Wellington. So with that said, we always try to recommend that you guys pay attention as you are driving. You are the future of Palm Beach County. And you know what? We don't want to see any of you taken out because of something that you did that could have been prevented. So are we up or down in the number of calls from last year, from the previous year? We're actually down, but we're only down about 40 calls. So not a huge difference. But hopefully we're making a difference. Hopefully that trend will continue. We're also getting into the holidays. So with the holidays, what do you think would are the number one calls that we run as far as fires goes? Unattended cooking. On Thanksgiving Day, it is 4 times more likely to have a fire than any other day of the year. Because everybody's doing what? Everybody's playing football outside. They're out watching television. They're out doing all kinds of things. But what are they not doing?
Paying attention to the turkey.
Watching their cooking. So do us a favor. Pay attention to what you're cooking. Exactly. Stay in the kitchen. And if you do have a fire that's in a pot on the stove, what's the best way to put it out? Put a lid on it. Good job. All righty. And my commissioner who happened to ask about active shooters and other things. One of the things that Palm Beach County Fire Rescue always likes to recommend is that people are aware of their exits. How do most people go in and out of a building? Through the front doors, and pretty much everybody goes out the same way that they came in. Pay attention to your exits when you're at the movie theaters, when you're at the mall, when you're at public gatherings, because those tend to be the biggest targets. So make sure you know where are your exits and how do you get out. Because you know what? Hopefully, we never have to worry. But your awareness can make a huge difference to you and to your families. Any questions that you folks have?
I have a question about, hi.
Oh, hi. Hearing that voice, I'm just not saying.
I was wondering, what is your procedure to get into someone's household if they call and that they've fallen and they can't get up?
Well,
but their doors are locked.
Hopefully there's somebody there that can let us in.
Yeah.
If they can't, then we have large axes that we try to take out the least expensive item that we can. Because who's responsible to replace it?
You guys.
The citizen is.
Oof.
The owner is. And I can give you a little example. We had a couple who was playing tennis. They had put eggs on the stove to boil. They were going to make hard-boiled eggs. They remembered their tennis engagement and forgot their eggs. They went to play tennis, and their eggs exploded, setting off their smoke alarms. Make sure you all have working smoke alarms in your house. When the smoke alarms, it was a monitored system, which meant it went to a monitoring agency. They called 911. Guess what we did when we saw smoke?
Kick down the door.
We broke down their door because it was the only way that we could get in. It was a condo.
Oh, okay.
About $16,000 later, it was a very expensive tennis match. Anyone else?
That's bad.
I also have another question. Do you guys have like a specific targeted response time? Like, is there any like specific response time you're trying to meet when you have to respond to a call?
We do. And in fact, our response times have gone down in the village of Wellington. We have an average response time across the county is 6.3 minutes. So, well, 6.5 minutes. So 6.5 minutes, we try to make it less than that. That's why you wind up with new stations coming open. As the call volume goes up, we tend to add fire stations. So we're always trying to decrease our response times. Because actually with heart attacks, with anything, with trauma, those minutes really do make a huge difference. Anyone else? Anyone from the public? Yes.
Please, you have to come up and state your name and your address, please.
With this? Oh, hello. My name is Nathan Galang. I'm from 1907 Shoma.
What's the city? Wellington?
Wellington.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, we got our water from Wellington, so I'm pretty sure it's Wellington. My question is, 2 questions. One quick question. So you guys work in do medical emergencies as well?
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious, how many people you regularly, or how many cases have you seen where people call the medical service or the emergency medical services because they don't have access to a stable doctor or affordable health care?
I couldn't give you actually a number on that, because basically if you call, we're going to come and we're going to treat you. So we do get calls from homeless. We get people who call 911 for a various number of reasons, some of which aren't always, they're questionable.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'd rather somebody call 911 than not. So that does become an issue, though. It becomes more of an issue for our emergency rooms and the emergency clinics that are set up, because people tend to go there if they're ambulatory, rather than having us take them in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Wait, you have to come up to the mic. It's a public meeting, so we have to have your name and address for the record.
Hello, Amy Pezolt, 11149 Grandview Manor. My question is, what happens in a situation where medical assistance or an ambulance is necessary and is called, but they don't have like the monetary aid to pay for the fees of the ambulance?
We transport no matter what. So we will take you to the emergency room, and they may bill you later. So, does that answer your question? If we don't collect on, we never give you a bill on the service when the service is run. Okay, so we're always going to make sure that whether you have.
Are you getting a call now?
Actually, that was my timer, so I didn't go over. Okay. And it's the second time went off on me. So we do. If you didn't have the services, we would bill your insurance or whatever, and then our billing takes care of it and probably would write it off.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll take one more.
Okay.
Come on up. State your name and address, full address.
So wait, if I live in Olympia, do I just say Olympia or the whole address?
No, you need your address. Your official address. Yes.
Including the city.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My name is Jovan Hayes. I live at 9801 Stover Way, Wellington, 33414, Florida.
Good.
Very good.
Okay.
What is the
excuse me, before we go on, I would like to have our village clerk explain why we have to have name and address for the record. Village clerk?
Okay, so basically it's just so we have a record if we need to provide you additional information, and we really will take comment from anybody, even if you don't live in Wellington. However, we just want to make sure we can contact you should we need to and have that information from the record. If you choose to not reveal your address, that's generally okay, but we prefer that you do. And while I'm at it, before you have a few minutes there, for everybody else, coming attractions, for everybody that wants to speak tonight, Ms. Cintron, who's seated, I think, right there.
No, there she
oh, no, she's not there. I couldn't see. Has some cards. There's also cards in the back of the room. Before you speak or as you come up, make sure you fill out a card with some of the general information when you speak on the individual items. Like I said, they're in the back of the room, and she also has some here.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that.
Okay. My question is, what?
That's okay. We all get those moments.
Okay.
They'll get more frequent as you get older.
What is the fire rescue department's relationship with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office?
Well, it depends on what you want to know. Actually, you know, if you know any police and fire, we all joke with each other. And you know what police and firefighters have in commman? They all wanted to be firefighters.
So another thing that we kind of have in common, we both sit a lot. I drive responding, they sit in a recliner, and they wait to get a call.
Now you know why they like us. And how come I got so many questions and you did?
Actually, just so you guys know, we also do cross-departmental training. We train with fire rescue, just like they train with us. When we have calls for service or we have an emergency call or any crisis, we do regular training with each other so we can get the best level of treatment and care to anybody that might need it. So that's something that's not common knowledge. So you guys know that we do work hard for the citizens of Palm Beach County by working together so we can all make this process a little bit better.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. All right, thank you.
You're very welcome. So we have a very good relationship.
Well, we would like to thank, if we could please give a big hand of applause to both fire and police. Thank you so much. Just so you all know, the Village of Wellington contracts out services for fire rescue and for Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, and our relationship with them is just above excellent. They all do an awesome job and helping support the village and making sure that you all are safe and that we have a really great hometown here. So, council, as we move on, we are now at the consent agenda portion of our council meeting this evening, and so we have groups that have been put together in different departments, and those department directors are here to support those groups. Our first agenda item this evening, I would like to call up the group that's going to make a presentation on the authorization to award a contract to provide aquatic vegetation control services to Wellington canals and lakes. Could that group please come up?
And Mr. Mayor, just as a reminder, we do take public comment on all consent items.
And if you two could state your names so we can know who's presenting to us this evening.
Hello, I am Madison Pompos.
And my name is Stephen Flug.
Can you talk a little bit closer to your mic?
Stephen Flug.
And make sure your green lights are on your microphones.
Yes.
Oh, mine's not on.
So good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We represent the Public Works Department, and we are going to be presenting an authorization to award a contract to provide aquatic vegetation control services to Wellington canals and lakes. Our request is to award a contract to Clark Aquatic Services, Inc. to provide aquatic vegetation control, to provide weed control for canals and lakes throughout the Village of Wellington. The contract is effective through March 11th, 2018, meaning we have been working with them for years prior. So Public Works released an ITB, or an invitation to bid, on Demand Star on December 17th, 2017, looking for qualified firms to provide services for our canals. The solicitation was also advertised in the Palm Beach Post and on Wellington's website. 4 proposals were received on January 24th, 2018. The first proposal we received was from Clark Aquatic Services, Inc. They proposed $440,006, an amount actually cheaper than the year prior, and has been found to be qualified. So Clark Aquatic Services did change their formulation of the chemicals, adding one chemical that we deemed unusable, but they have agreed to not use it if we contract them. They are not a local business. Aquatic Vegetation Control, Inc. was the other proposal we got for $598,000.
35% higher than Clark Aquatic Services. Aquatic Vegetation Control has been found to be safe and qualified and is also a local business from Palm Beach County. But they were offered the opportunity to make the lowest bid, but they did not take it. We also received a bid from Solitude Lake Management Limited Liability Company, but they were deemed non-responsive for not having been in business for 10 years. We also received a bid from the D'Angelo Brothers LLC Limited Liability Company and was also deemed non-responsive to not meeting the minimum qualification of 10 years of business.
These qualifications are to ensure safety and to see the lasting effects of the chemicals in the question of usage. We want to use a more experienced company when dealing with potentially harmful chemicals to prevent mistakes. Wellington is a very equestrian-oriented village, and we want to minimize any potential negative impact to our horses and our citizens alike. This is why we have a 10-year minimum qualification. Clark Aquatic Services is the lowest, most qualified bidder at $440,006. Last year, Wellington paid $440,598 for the same services, making Clark's offer this year less expensive. We recommend authorization to award a contract to Clark Aquatic Services Incorporated for the amount of $440,006 and for a contract for 3 years with 2 additional 1-year renewals. And there is no budget amendment required. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for your presentation. Is there any comment from the public? You may come.
Please state your name. Yes.
You want me to do the whole thing again? I can do the whole thing again.
That is correct.
All right, I'll do the whole thing again. Hello, council. My name is Jovan Hayes. I live in Olympia, more specifically, Florida, Wellington, 9801 Stover Way, 33414. Yep. I'd like to say that I'm aware of my time constraints, and I'd like to keep my comments brief.
Very good.
Now, before I ask my question, I'd like to do a quick shout out to one of my favorite people in the world, whose name starts with an A and ends with a G. You know who you are, and you know I love you.
Ooh. Oh.
I also want to shout out my parents, who I love dearly as well.
Specifically said.
Now, on to my question. Council members, considering the fact that this piece of legislation has been on the agenda for nearly 8 months now, wouldn't you say it's about time that we stop delaying the process of solving our village's aquatic vegetation issues?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Mayor.
According to our council procedures, when the public makes a comment, the council typically just listens to the comment. We don't normally take question and answers or engage with the public during public comment.
Thank you for your question. That is
you can, however, direct your staff to get with the gentleman and answer his question after the meeting or tomorrow.
Thank you for your question. That's a very good point. And as she said, we do have staff that will take care of you and answer all further questions you have about this matter.
Okay, thank you.
We have another public comment. Please come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Marina Karki, and I live at 1428 Fairway Circle in Green Acres, Florida. So I just have a concern with choosing the Clark Aquatic Services, Inc. for the contract. I do understand that it's the lowest bid, but I see more value in the local option, as not only does it simulate our local economy because it's based in Florida instead of in Illinois, like the Clark Aquatic Services, but they've also had 10 years of service in Florida. So I feel like they would be better adjusted to dealing with our canals and lakes and understanding what kind of chemicals and what kind of treatment we need to properly address all problems. So I feel like in the end, the upfront more cost would be worth it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any comments from the council?
All right.
All right, you go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I have a question. So while it is the cheapest, do you feel as though we may be losing quality if you're going for the cheapest option because it helps economically?
No, I don't think we will be, considering we've been working with Clark already. So seeing as how we're just trying to renew the contract, seeing how our results have been good so far, I feel that though it may be cheaper, the quality is going to be great because we've already tested it to make sure that it's going to be safe for our ecosystem.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing as we're taking a non-local vendor, do you think that it's gonna take away possible? It's obviously gonna take away possible business from our local vendor. So do you think that not choosing the local vendor is the right option if it's gonna take away money from the local?
Yes, we offered the local vendor, Aquatic Vegetation Control Incorporated, to make the lowest bid, but they did not take the offer. We have that in place so that we do try to use local business, but they still made their offer 35% more than Clark's bid.
All right, there's no further questions from the council. Thank you for your presentation. Is there a motion to approve this item?
There is a notion to approve this item.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All against? Seeing as there are none, the item is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to you and your team. Next up for our next agenda item is the team that is going to present on the authorization to utilize an existing contract for the Forest Hill Boulevard Conflict Structure Project. Could that team please come up?
All right, hi. I'm the head of the department head, Sebastian Sones.
I'm Connor Warrensoff. I'm the deputy engineer on the job.
I'm Dylan Barbieri, the staff engineer.
And up there is Nathan Litteral, our executive PowerPoint slide changer. So, on to the actual problem. So a sinkhole had developed on Forest Hill Boulevard and Montauk Drive. During the installation of a water line, a storm sewer line had been drilled through the pipe, causing it to fill up with water, causing the sinkhole. The Public Works Department did put a temporary patch on the road to make the road more safer, and now we are here seeking a more permanent solution. So we started with our in-house design. We use this, we have, our team consists of us and three professional engineers and one engineering intern. And so we decided to use we decided that a doghouse manhole would be the best fix for the situation. It will be lined in order to seal, and it should last around upwards of 50 years. So on to the actual request itself. We are seeking authorization to utilize a previously awarded contract with DS Ekins Construction Corporation and for the price of $85,000. On to DS Ekins Construction Corporation. We've previously worked on, have a contract with them that was awarded on July 14th, 2015. It was with multiple vendors, but we feel that they were the best, and they also bid the lowest for the job, and our staff has determined that this contract is obviously the best. So on to the price. Why we justify this? The DS Ekins Construction Corporation bid for $71,000 and $71,104. Their scope of work includes all labor, project site, dewatering, equipment, and operations, as well as maintenance of traffic, material testing, precast structure, medium repairs. We have determined that the requested price for this work to be reasonable in accordance with similar projects, and due to the possibility of unforeseen conditions, the engineering department recommends a contingency of 20%, which would be $13,000 or $13,896. With the added a contingency of the price, it should not exceed $85,000. Thank you.
Is there any comment from the public?
Please come up.
Hello. My name is Alejandro Palenzuela. I live at 11651 Manatee Bay Lane, Wellington. As a citizen, I'm kind of concerned where our money's going with this project. You say you've previously fixed up the hole before, but I want to know why it wasn't a more permanent solution beforehand and why we have to come back to this and fix it again.
Thank you for your comment, and I'm sure we have plenty of staff that will answer that question for you.
Thank you.
Please come up. Come up to the mic, please.
My name is Alejandro Cordero. I live in 572 Belgrove Lane, Royal Palm Beach, Florida, United States of America. So, my question is there another cheaper that's more cost effective? Because I feel like $85,000 is a lot of money.
Thank you for your comment. Is there any questions from the council?
So, if I could, Mr. Mayor, the bidding process that staff went through with the particular vendor is the way that the Florida legislature has directed municipalities to try to obtain the lowest, most responsible and responsive bidder. So in this case, it's a continuing contract, and the scope of the work fell within this vendor's capabilities, and therefore they are, in fact, the lowest price that we could award for this type of an agreement.
Thank you. Are there any questions from council?
Oh, we have one more public comment.
Oh.
My name is Nathan Little. I live in 9004 Alexander Circle, Wellington, Florida. I see that there's a 20% contingency, and I'm wondering what the causes for this contingency are, why it's so high. But Mr. Mayor, I have a big question. What's your favorite color?
That's a good question. My favorite color is navy.
Oh, you could answer that one. All right.
Got you.
That's all.
Oh, wait, what? Oh. Are there any comments from the council?
I have a comment. Will the repair of this pipe be problematic for traffic on Flores Hill?
So with this correction to the problem that we see on this, the prices that we've put forth in the 85 grand would include rerouting traffic, and so that is how we would solve the problem temporarily for the fix until it's fixed, and then it will be good as new.
Along with that question, what is the timetable for this for the repair to be until from start to finish? What is like the projected timeline?
It'll be about 2 days, and it'll start at night.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just interrupt for a moment. There's no sidebar conversations allowed between council members. All of your comments must be made into the microphone so that the public can have access to all of your comments and decision making.
I also have a question. Is there any recourse against the contractor who damaged the pipe in the first place, and are they trying to pay for any of the costs so it doesn't all come from taxes and budget?
Unfortunately, no, because the warranty period has expired because it has been so long, and that this problem has just been discovered because of the sinkhole. So we can't really. It'd be nice if we could do something, but we unfortunately can't.
Thank you.
I also have a question. Why is this project considered a safe up if it was by Public Works, if it's an emergency?
The safe up from the Public Works Department was just a patch to the road to keep traffic flowing while we got a budget and contract passed to actually fix it so we don't have another sinkhole. So it's just to keep the traffic flowing and keep it safe while we figure out how, getting this contract passed.
All right, thank you. Are there any further comments? Is there a motion to approve the item?
I motion to approve the item of authorization to existing contract for Forest Hill Boulevard Conflict Structure Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you. If our next team could make their way up for the agenda item on authorization to renew an existing contract for bus rental and driver services. And could everybody state their names and your team, please?
Amy Pezzelt. Megan Martinez.
Emily Giles.
Alejandro Cordero.
Kaden Ruthier.
Hello, Council. We are the Parks and Recreation Department, and we are here to propose an authorization to renew an existing bus rental and driver contract.
So this request is to renew an existing contract with Bus One LLC for bus rental and driver services that costs approximately $43,000 annually. So some things about the company that you should consider are that they have been in contract with us since 2016. They were the chosen business of the year by the Suncoast Chamber. They were voted best of the best 3 times. They have been serving Palm Beach County for more than 28 years, and they are also a Palm Beach County Schools approved vendor.
So why do we need this? So the Bus One LLC program in the past has provided transportation to children in summer day camps and also special event programs in Wellington. Now, this is a local vendor which would support and boost our local economy. And without this localized organization, we would have to hire bus drivers and purchase buses to transport the children. Statistically speaking, this would be 10 buses per week for the 9 weeks of summer for the children to be transported. And there's also 1,872 kids in the program that need transportation. So, also, we are going to have to rebid the contract in a few years anyways, so it seems feasible to renew the contract now.
So a lot of your first questions might be why the price increase? Well, number one problem with the price increase is there is inflation, and it's very evident in the way of fuel price increases. In 2016, the price of the fuel for the buses was $2.05 per gallon, and in just 2 years it has raised a whole dollar to $3.05 per gallon, as well as increasing in prices of insurance. And so this, again, warrants a price increase for us to pay them. Also, they have provided excellent service for the years that they have been serving us, and that deserves a good payment, especially with the costs increasing. Summer camps are currently growing. They're doing more different and elaborate activities to have fun for the children over the summer, and statistics show that more kids are joining the program as the summers go on, about 100 kids per year, and it's already up to about 1,900 kids, and we need more buses to transport them. This is a first-time price increase. This is the first time we have had to negotiate a price increase, so I think it's worth considering. And we researched other contracts like this in the area, from Palm Beach Gardens to the city of Boca Raton and the Palm Beach County School District even, and evidence shows that the price increase is warranted, and it is a local vendor. They are from here, so any more money that we would be spending on them would be money going back into our own economy. So that is another thing to consider.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about some of the ramifications of the rebid, and these are some of the questions that the residents are going to ask. So the rebidding alone is going to cost $15,000 to $20,000. So just to point out, this is half the contract already. The contract alone is $43,000. So in hindsight, why spend the money when it's half the cost? And when you look at these other contracts, we're looking at $73,000, $85,000. This is pennies in hindsight. And then another point I want to bring up is the time to rebid. So unfortunately, we're very limited on time, and we have to do this before summer. And due to transportation needs, we need this. So the transportation equals happiness of citizens and children of Wellington. So in the case that we did rebid, we would have to consider that we have to pay that $15,000 to $20,000 to rebid a new contract. This contract would also include, let's say, for example, the $43,000 on top of that for a new company. Then we have to consider the time that it's going to be taken and the paying of the employees, which is just more additional money that we can avoid. And as our councilwoman said, quality is everything in Wellington, and we care about the safety as well as the quality said. So my question is, does quality matter and the safety of the children? Yes, absolutely. 100% it does.
Okay, so I would like to show you the track record of the company, and a lot of people online said that this is a great company and they have great service, and this person called Mariana Ortiz recommended them 100% and rated them 5 stars, and that was 2 years ago. And another review from 6 months ago from Donald Welk said that Bus One is remarkable, and they returned from a 4-day trip from youth in government to Tallahassee. And so basically it keeps the residents of Wellington happy, and that should be our primary goal. And we believe that the $43,000 is worth it to spend on this company to keep our citizens happy for forever, hopefully.
And if there's any additional information that the public or any of you want after this meeting is over, you can always contact the Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional comments from the public? All right.
So, Mr. Mayor, I do have some concerns about this particular proposal. As you know, our purchasing manual requires that you do seek competitive solicitations for purchases made by the village, and it appears that this particular contract is not being competitively solicited. So under our purchasing manual, if there's an emergency purchase, you can certainly waive the bidding requirements, or if it's a sole source contract, meaning they're the only entity that can provide the service, you would be able to waive it. Or if they're providing professional services such as engineering or not engineering, but legal services, you could waive it. Alternatively, if there was a supermajority vote by the council and you felt that it was in the best interest of the village, our purchasing manual does allow you to do that. But I must say that that provision is typically reserved for more extraordinary things and not the mundane types of purchases that the village has to make. So I do have concerns about it. You do have options, but my recommendation to you would be that you direct your staff to bid this particular contract out.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from the council?
I have a question. Like she was saying, there are no other bids, so why don't we try and get others, or why don't we try not to get a cheaper rebid for the bus services?
As of right now, once again, I said that there is inflation, the prices are increasing, and if they don't get more, they may not be able to provide the quality services they do. And also, this is a 5-year in total contract, and we would have to bid with them again in a few years anyways. So if we did it now, like we would have to rebid anyways now. So rebidding now might be a waste and cost more money than it needed to be, because we will have to do that in the future anyway. So why not just wait until then, which is not too far in the future.
That would be 2021.
Thank you.
I have a question. Are we liable if we leave the contract early than our release date in 2021? Like, are we liable for money or any type of insurance claims that they can say to?
That's a legal question.
Well, typically a contract term would be for either 1 or 2 or 3 years with a renewal period afterwards. So you might be able to renew it for the 4th and 5th years. But if your initial contract period is, let's say, 2 years and you decide to terminate prior to that, we normally include a provision in the contract that allows the government to terminate it for its own convenience, provided we pay for any of the fees that have already been incurred.
Thank you. Sorry.
Is there a motion to approve?
Again, Mr. Mayor, I would strongly recommend that this item be sent back for bidding. You certainly might draw the attention of the Inspector General. If you do decide that this warrants waiving the bidding process, then I would ask you to put on the record your reasons for making that decision.
Seeing as there's no motion, we would like to put on record, for the reasons stated beforehand, of putting the item on bid to withhold the approval of the item. All those that approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is an ordinance, and I would like our village clerk to read that ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 2017-21, medical marijuana dispensing organization, facility, and pharmacy facilities. An ordinance of the Wellington, Florida's Council amending Article 3, Chapter 4 definitions, Article 6, Section 6.4.4, supplementary use standards of the land development regulations of the Village of Wellington, Florida, relating to uses to define medical marijuana dispensing organization, facility, and medical marijuana treatment center, and to regulate the size and location of pharmacy facilities and medical marijuana dispensing organizations facilities, providing for a conflicts clause, providing for codification, providing a severability clause, and providing an effective date.
Could that group please step forward and make your presentation? Oh, they put you up all by yourself? Oh.
Good evening, Council. My name is Caitlin McKenzie.
Hi, I'm Emma Cavan. And today we'll be representing the group talking about the ordinance with medical marijuana. So back in 2016, November, we had an election, and the Florida voters in Wellington voted yes for the passage of the sale and distribution of medical marijuana in the Village of Wellington. So there was a couple concerns introduced by the citizens, and that's why the ordinance was introduced. And so their concerns were mainly on like crime rates and how the marijuana dealings are mostly cash businesses, and that generally deals to higher crime rates and underhanded deals, and also how they would be unattractive in the Village of Wellington and how they should not be near school zones. So the Village of Wellington came up with the ordinance, which was basically a set of requirements and regulations for a medical marijuana dispensary. And it outlines the physical and locational standards for the medical marijuana dispensaries. And basically they have to meet all of the requirements of a pharmacy. So there were a few rules, including that they had to be a minimum of 10,000 square feet unless they were put on 441. And they cannot be within 1,000 feet of a school zone, which is not exempted by any of these other qualifications. And on State Road 7, the floor area and number limitations are exempted. So, and then the last and final point is that they have to be generally like a pharmacy distribution center. So we did a little bit of research and went on some real estate websites to look up areas that would be good to put a medical marijuana dispensary on State Road 7. A few places that we found included the old Toys R Us Plaza, which is past Southern Boulevard on 441. The square footage was approximately like 58,000 square feet, I believe, but you can rent out a smaller portion of the building. And it didn't exactly point out how much it was per square foot, but we averaged that it would be about $17 per square foot to rent out the building. And seeing as though medical marijuana is generally pricey because it's not paid for through healthcare or Medicaid, it wouldn't be hard to pay for a building like this. So.
While we know that the vote for allowing medical marijuana was already decided, we want to discuss some misconceptions and benefits of medical marijuana in order to highlight why we really need this ordinance to be approved and allow medical marijuana in the village. Okay, so, okay. So one of the misconceptions, why does it keep doing this? Okay, sorry. One of the misconceptions is that it's not well researched. But in fact, there are over 44,000 pieces of literature in the scientific community that mention marijuana as having medicinal benefits. Smoking marijuana causes cancer. But in fact, the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine have stated that the committee found evidence that suggests smoking cannabis does not increase the risk for cancers often associated with tobacco use, such as lung and head and neck cancers. The last misconception, a really popular one, is marijuana is a gateway drug. But studies conducted in 2013 showed over 32% of American students have used marijuana, but only 1.8% have tried cocaine, and only 0.6% had tried heroin. If marijuana was truly a gateway drug, wouldn't more students have tried these other substances as well to get a greater high? Okay. So some of the uses and benefits of medical marijuana, which we want to have in our community to allow people who have these diseases and disorders to use and treat their disorders. So one of them is muscle spasms, PTSD, nausea from cancer chemotherapy, poor appetite and weight loss caused by chronic illness like HIV or nerve pain, seizure disorder, and Crohn's disease.
So the possible negative side effects of medical marijuana are also present, obviously, because there's always going to be pros and cons. So the negative side effects are dizziness, drowsiness, possibly short-term memory loss, and euphoria isn't necessarily a negative side effect, but it can be an effect of medical marijuana. So there are also some economic benefits to medical marijuana. It has showed that medical marijuana is a very pricey business. Marijuana in general is a pricey business, especially underhanded and underground and things like that. So if we brought it to light, like we voted yes for the medical marijuana in Wellington, it's supposed to help circulate money into the economy. And it also creates jobs because at these pharmacies, these medical marijuana dispensaries, we would have to have people running the dispensaries or have people running calls and diagnosing patients for medical marijuana. And also it would help decrease some government spending because it could potentially help with government not having to stop medical marijuana being distributed illegally.
In conclusion, we see this ordinance as a step in the right direction and towards further legalization of marijuana. If marijuana was to be recreationally legalized in Florida, the village of Wellington will already have the parameters set in place for dispensaries to be in specific parts of Wellington and not just anywhere near school zones or in the heart of Wellington. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
So, Mr. Mayor, because this is an ordinance, you do have to actually formally open a public hearing. So we'll need a motion and a second to open the public hearing.
Is there any comment from the public?
You need to move to open the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
I motion to open the public hearing.
I second. Sorry.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. The motion is approved. Is there?
So the public is the public hearing portion is now open.
Please come up. And if we have multiple public speakers to come up, if you all would just come up at the same time, so we can move the evening along.
Hi, I'm Sophia, 2705 Eleanor Way, Wellington, Florida. And my question is, clearly since medical marijuana is illegal on the federal level, but it is legal on the state and local level, how would local banks be able to regulate the money, and how is it going to benefit the economy locally since it is an issue still federally? That's my concern.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Good evening. My name is Arman Naeem, and I live at 9774 Scribner Lane at Wellington, Florida. And my statement to you is that out of the 1,170 crimes committed in Wellington, 1,054 of them were property crimes. According to multiple studies, not just in Florida, but across the nation, they found a correlation between medical marijuana dispensaries and crimes such as burglary and theft. My question to you is, if we included medical marijuana in pharmacies as opposed to dispensaries, could we potentially mitigate the amount of property and even possibly violent crimes?
Thank you for your comment. That is a very good point that you can bring up with our staff.
My name is Nathaniel Joseph Galang. I live in 1907 Chelma Drive. Quickly, I will be moving to Green Acres, so in 2020, make sure to watch out in City Council in Green Acres so you don't have to worry about here. But in more seriousness, the point brought up by the last speaker mentioned the idea, and from what I understand, this legislation will make it so that pharmacies are the exclusive distributors of medical marijuana and eventual recreational if legal. So what my concern is of that is the unnecessary regulation of something the people already voted to allow. In my view, we should have dispensaries because it is a small business opportunity. It allows competition in that market, so we can see if we just have it pharmacies exclusive, they will have a local monopoly, and I don't believe that's beneficial to the people of Wellington. I don't think that's fair to those who voted for legalization. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just want to be sure that the council understands that the ordinance doesn't allow pharmacies to dispense medical marijuana, but allows the village to regulate medical marijuana dispensing facilities in the same manner that it regulates pharmacies.
Like Ms. Cohen said, it's not pharmacies that are distributing medical marijuana. The ordinance is saying that these medical marijuana dispensaries must be like pharmacies. So pharmacies generally have to be in between, I think it was 13,000 square feet and above. 10,000 square feet and above, which is why the size requirement is 10,000 square feet, because this way it's not just a small business dispensing the medical marijuana, it's a bigger company.
Thank you for that clarification.
Hi, my name is David Restrepo. I live at 1660 Oakberry Circle, Wellington, Florida. Just to follow up on previous comment, speaking again on the minimum requirement, like space, 10,000 square feet for medical marijuana dispensaries, as you know, compared to like pharmacies or whatever. My question is, if that is our constraint on medical marijuana dispensaries, that's like in comparison to pharmacies, like in CVS, their actual pharmacies, 10,000 square feet on average. So my question is, why are medical marijuana dispensaries constrained to that limit, and why aren't they able to expand larger companies like CVS and Walgreens, like to sell like typical like groceries and stuff like that you do?
Well, there's the exemption of 2 areas, one industrial area, which I don't know the specific zone, but also State Road 7, all along State Road 7. There does not need to be the 10,000 square feet minimum. It can be smaller than that. So it allows for some smaller businesses and smaller dispensaries to pop up along State Road 7. And that's due to us wanting to avoid keeping these dispensaries out of the heart of Wellington. We don't want them anywhere near schools, and State Road 7 has little schools on it except for Equestrian Trails, which is farther down the road. But most of the plazas on State Road 7 would be perfect places for dispensaries. And also there's high traffic on State Road 7, which would allow for higher traffic to going to those dispensaries.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dario Diarmas. I live on oh shit. I'm so sorry. 3287 Ralston Lane, Lake Worth, Florida, 33461. So I live pretty far away, as y'all can tell. My main concern is, as you two said, that the medical marijuana business is extraordinarily pricey, and also there's a strong correlation between medical marijuana or marijuana in general and addiction. And as it is a pricey business, it can propose like more dangers to come up, and more violence, crime rates can go up, and crime rates can directly affect the future leaders at like Polo Park, Emerald Cove, our high school. And my main concern is how that can influence future generations. And also, you can never be completely sure that there won't be any legal distribution of medical marijuana, because somebody could have the prescription for it, but then they can go out on the street to sell it because, you know, they're going broke, they're low income, and they need more money to support themselves. So they could probably be using it for their own, I don't know what the word is, but yeah.
Well, to clarify, studies have shown that cannabis has no addictive properties chemically, unlike heroin and cocaine. So while you can become dependent and find sort of like an emotional attachment to marijuana, there's no actual chemical addiction qualities to it. So that, just to clarify that. Do you have anything?
Well, and on top of that, you addressed crime rates and how, you know, people would be still selling it illegally. There's obviously always going to be a margin where there's going to be illegal substances being solicited, you know, without the information of the Village of Wellington. And the legalization of marijuana isn't the legalization of recreational marijuana. The ordinance specifically states that it is medicinal marijuana only. So there are a lot of requirements to obtain this medical marijuana. So that's what we are hoping is going to make this less of a crime rate focus and less of an illegal substances selling. So
yeah, we hope that more people will go and actually go the legal route instead of going on the black market and buying marijuana illegally to treat their own symptoms of whatever diseases they have or symptoms that they want to treat. So that way, if we allow this ordinance, we're allowing more people to have the opportunity to come and do it the legal way and not the illegal way.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jaden Patel. I live at 9162 Delamar Court, Wellington, Florida. And my question is, with the minimum requirement of only being 1,000 feet from a school, how can we ensure that children don't get their hands on the drug, which could potentially cause a drug problem for underage children in Wellington, and maybe potentially drop IQ points?
Well, the state already has some regulation in place that they decided when we voted to allow medical marijuana in the state of Florida. And one of those things I've kind of heard is that they have to have 24-hour surveillance in front of their stores. And they also, whenever somebody walks in the store, they have to be checked for ID and for their medical marijuana license. So if anybody who walks in there, a student or anybody else who does not have a medical marijuana card and is not above 18, they will automatically be taken out of the store. So nobody should be allowed in.
Right. And they have to be prescribed medical marijuana. So medical marijuana, you can't necessarily just obtain it. Anybody can't just obtain it. You have to be, visit, specific doctors that can prescribe you medical marijuana to say that you're allowed to go to a dispensary and obtain this medical marijuana. So being 1,000 feet in a school zone isn't much different than being 10,000 feet from a school zone. It's just a business, and businesses are run professionally, not underhanded. So
Thank you.
I'm Nathan Little. I live 9004 Alexander Circle, Wellington, Florida. One problem I foresee with this is the interference with land allotted for horses or other things that kind of preserve the economy of Wellington. Where will dispensaries harvest marijuana for processing and such?
Thank you for your concern. That is a very specific question that I'm sure our staff can can answer.
And this will be our last public forum
Excuse
comment.
me, Mr. Mayor, I believe that this speaker has already spoken, and
Yes.
Is
you
that
only
against the
get
rules?
3 minutes per item.
Okay.
So the council can certainly, agree to allow him to speak twice, but typically we do not.
I'll make it quick.
Okay. All right. Yep. Go for it.
Okay, so I appreciate the clarification from earlier, but now my main concern is the really tough regulations when it comes to this legislation. It was said in the speech or in the presentation that one of the requirements is a 10,000 feet or whatever, 10 square feet?
Square feet minimum, yes.
10,000 square feet minimum. Now, I don't know about most people in the audience, but I can't afford a 10,000 square feet building or rent it. I'm sure most people can't. So where are the small businesses in this? I'm sure what went through many of the minds of the Florida voters who supported the legalization is that they will be able to start their own potential businesses, or they will see potential businesses rise up in their community. I think these regulations are too harsh on potential small business owners and give richer individuals who more of an advantage over the smaller guys. That's my concern. Thank you.
Well, as previously stated, on State Road 7 and also one other industrial area in Wellington, we are taking away 2 of those rules, the 10,000 square feet minimum and the multiple in shopping centers. So on State Road 7 and in the other industrial area of Wellington, that doesn't matter. You can be 2,000 square feet, 3,000 square feet, and dispensaries will be allowed to be that size on State Road 7. So we will allow small businesses and smaller, not as rich people to open up dispensaries on State Road 7. So we do allow small businesses.
Real quick, what if someone wants to make
you've exceeded your 3 minutes.
Very good.
Thank you. So ladies, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We're going to need a motion to close public hearing.
I motion to close public hearing.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is now closed.
Thank you.
They need to vote on the motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Or vote on the ordinance?
Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
I motion to approve.
I second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion is approved.
Thank you. Thank you. Mayor, Council, as we get ready to bring this council meeting to a close, for my manager's report, I would like to first...
Excuse me, we do have a public forum after the regular agenda items, and that would be the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
The public forum is intended for anyone who wishes to speak to something that is not on the agenda, and we typically allow 3 minutes for public comment. So, Mr. Mayor, if anybody has any public comment that they would like to give, this would be the time.
Are there any comments from the public?
All right.
No.
Thank you.
Hit that gavel. Hit that gavel.
I would just like to.
You have to state your name and address for the record, please.
I apologize. My name is Nathan Galang from 1907 Choma Drive. Yep. So, I want to say, I want to give appreciation for this council here. I want to give appreciation for this event and appreciation for bearing with me speaking a lot. Yeah, I don't know. The city's going pretty well. The city's going pretty well. I guess my suggestion would be keep doing what you're doing. Thank you very much. Now, if anyone wants, like any sitting officials, they can meet with me afterwards, and they can give me their business cards or something, so we can maybe work out a endorsement for 2020 when I run for city council in Green Acres.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to follow up.
You need to say your name and address for the record,
please. Jovan Hayes, 9801 Stover Way, Wellington, Florida, 33414. I want to follow up on the same topic that Nathan was just talking about, and give some appreciation to our AP Gov teacher, Mr. Dahlman. And I'd also like to give some appreciation to the best principal in Palm Beach County, Mr. Edgecombe. That is all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mayor, seeing no other comments, if I may, can I go ahead with my manager's report? All right, so I would like to thank so many people this evening that really put this all together. First, I have to start off by thanking my staff person who's here, who's just a little short over there, but wave your hand, Morgan. Thank you, Morgan, so much for assisting putting this together. Also would like to thank our not playing the role of the village attorney, but she is the village attorney, and that's Lori Cohen. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And then our department directors who helped you all, and you guys did an awesome job. I have to thank Tom Lundeen, Michael Dell, and Bob Bateshart. Thank you guys. Can you stand up, guys, so we can just kind of give you a little appreciation here. And Tanya Quickle, who she left us, but she did an awesome job as well, and always supporting us. Thank you, Jim Barnes, who is officially really not the village clerk, but the assistant village manager. But that's what an assistant village manager does. Wherever he's needed, he's there. So thank you so much, Jim, for that. And to your teacher, John Dolman, Mr. Dolman, thank you so much. This is an awesome group. I would like to tell you, first of all, we have been doing this for several years now, but you're the largest group that we've had, and you are the best looking group that we've had. So you've set a new standard. So thank you so much. You've set a great standard for us to move forward, so we really appreciate that. We have several opportunities that I will talk with Donna Baxter, your student activities coordinator, in terms of any upcoming volunteer opportunities for you all. They have for hours for your community service hours, so we'll be getting that information out to you. And we also must thank our real official council, the mayor and council who was here earlier, for supporting this program and supporting us being able to put this on. We will have refreshments in the lobby when you all are finished, and we're going to take one big group photo. So when the mayor adjourns this meeting, do not leave the building if you don't have to. Go in the lobby, and our communications team is going to take a photo that we will use for Facebook purposes and some other purposes, maybe grant writing purposes. But and to this council that's here, you all did an awesome job. If everyone can give your council a hand, thank you guys. You guys did an awesome job. Looking very official, look great. Thank you guys so much. So I will turn it over to the mayor for the council to have their closing comments.
Does the council have any final comments?
I would like to thank everybody who participated in this activity.
I would like to thank the Village of Wellington for all they have done for us, and a special thank you to Ed, Paulette, Jim, Morgan, the department directors, and our village attorney for taking this time to work closely with us to make sure that we execute this effectively and efficiently. And I would also like to thank Mr. Dahlman for being the best AP Gov teacher and for giving us this opportunity, as well as thank all the AP student body in order to carry this out and be productive and effective.
I would like to thank all of you fine ladies and gentlemen for assisting with the project. Thank you, Mr. Dahlman, for allowing this to happen. Thank you, Ms. Baxter. Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. And thank you to all of the village staff that helped out with this.
So it's already been said, but I would also like to thank Ms. Paulette, Mr. Ed, Mr. Jim, Ms. Cohen, and Ms. Morgan, all of you that have helped prepare us for this, and all of you that came and showed love. So thank you.
I would like to thank the village for this wonderful learning opportunity, Mr. Edgecombe for supporting the students of Palm Beach Central and everything that we do, and last but not least, Mr. Dahlman and Mrs. Morgan Cintron for setting all this up for us. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned.
Well, you have to ask for a motion.
Do I have permission to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is now adjourned.